Oh, I misclicked. There was somebody in there and I accidentally hit end stream, so I have to restart it. But that shouldn't be the problem. Let's see. Okay, okay. Can you hear me? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Glad that you can join us tonight to kind of take a look into the box. we're kind of in a situation where this is out of passion. This is a gift when it comes down to the world around us. Propaganda is a very interesting term that we should be able to all understand. Another term of it, you can refer to it as marketing. Another way you can look at it is a mechanism to spread ideas. Or, if you want to think about it like this, how do you create a narrative that other people will believe, whether it's true or false? What's interesting with Box, and why I'm actually going to be talking with you guys about this, is that understanding and having some sort of media literacy with exactly what does show up in your face, whether you request it or not, does change the narratives and how people think about the world around them. There is a high chance that I'm going to be diving into specific strategies, but I want to give you guys an overview and provide some tools. Sorry, there's a bit of an echo here that I'm going to be adjusting. 1 second. But nonetheless, how are you guys doing today? Before I dive right in. I'm happy to see you, Johnny. It has been a minute since we've chatted. This is going to be recorded, and the purpose of this is that I will be clipping portions of it, and throughout this year of 2025, I will be taking deeper dives into each of these. I will be giving about 2 to 3 minutes before I get started to let some other people roll in. This is going to be a bit of a nutty one. That's crazy. A portion of our team is looking for the link to this. I'm going to be sending this to them, if you guys do not mind. 6:05 Central Time. That is when I'm going to be getting started. I usually do this around noon. And then for this New Year's, we are going to be adjusting our schedule for Saturdays at noon. For the box community, as well as our stakeholders and our partners and supporters, we will be doing a marketing campaign along with this. Yes, Johnny, I will talk about the death of Jimmy Carter, but only briefly. And here we go. Okay, glad you guys are able to tune in right now. As mentioned before, when it comes down to propaganda, we are going to be going into exactly how the modern tactics of persuasion, misinformation, and disinformation shape our generations. This has an impact on Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen X. The purpose of this broadcast is not only to go live and talk with you right now, but we will also be clipping portions of it to distribute on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Twitter/X. What's amazing about propaganda is it's easy to see, but it's difficult to understand how they do it. And no, marketing or any marketing degree or your marketing classes is only going to skim the top of exactly how to do it. So, we're going to be taking a deep dive, and over the next 2 weeks, I will be dropping this link and sharing it to the public to let you guys know how to do this. Why is this important? Well, on Box's end, if you decide to take a look in the box, you will understand exactly how things work, whether it be financially, geopolitically, economically, and eventually spiritually. So here we are. How to do propaganda. This does come, I'm going to scroll to the bottom here, from Full Fact UK. They are specifically a fact checking organization based within the UK, PolitiFact, that is a fact checking organization based in the USA, and Plague Inc. For the gamers out there, if you are unaware about Plague Inc. or non gamers, it is a simulation to be able to either spread a disease, an idea that was essentially made originally. I got it in 2014, and it does let people know the experience and the strategies and the tools available that you do need to have if you are trying to spread something. Again, whether it be an idea, potentially a disease, or even a cure, whatever narrative that you want to put in front of the public to consume and to build a following, this is your guide. The first thing that we're going to be looking at is defining the target audience. Choose a susceptible audience by country, demographic, or education/intelligence level. As we go through this, I do encourage that you think of different ways that you may be seeing it around you right now. For example, let's think of the United States. Here we are on Twitter/X. And if you guys have not already heard about the infighting with MAGA, or what is known as MAGA currently, that is the current administration that will be coming in, taking charge and taking power, whether you voted for it or not, there's a lot of opinions and a lot of perspectives for how we should go about the future of the United States, the West, the globe, policies, foreign relations, whatever language that fits your narrative. I could even say jobs. The way that we are going to be going about it. Vivek Ramaswamy. Let's see. I actually did retweet this guy. Let's go into my account. Let's see. If you've not already heard about the whole civil war fight that's happening within the right wing, the Republican, the MAGA party, whatever language that you want to use there, it doesn't matter. As long as you actually understand who's in charge and how decisions are being made moving forward. The reason that top tech companies often hire foreign born and first generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes from the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're really serious about fixing this problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zack and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact. I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows, precisely because they promoted mediocrity. And their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chillin', more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most American people, most American parents, look skeptically at those kind of parents. More normal American kids view as such those kind of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now, close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s, or even now, who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. That's the work that we have cut out for us rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence. I'm confident that we can do it. That's amazing. But I think it's also arrogant, and this is also a form of propaganda. Whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we each have our own beliefs within the context of the lives that we've been given. A susceptible audience, country, demographic, education slash intelligence level. This is good propaganda for people who he's established to be part of it, to be on their side. He's going to attract it. Now, within their own party, they've created conflict. But unfortunately for the MAGA party, this conflict is not within the interest of a portion of them that have been duped. It's just politics, everyone. That's all it is. So, what do you do here? You, aspiring viewer, a person who's looking into the box. Don't you want to change the world around you? This guy just whipped out one tweet. Yes, he has influence. But if we do dissect it, you'll understand exactly what he's doing. So, after you've defined your target audience, the people who are susceptible to your influence, your goals, and aspire for a better future that makes sense with the narrative that you are proposing, you should create a catchphrase or even a manifesto if you want to go hard about it. Think of things like Make America Great Again, Eat the Rich, Power to the People, Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, To Each Their Own, C'est la vie. You have to ensure that it resonates with all. And quite honestly, if you can get a 5-year-old to repeat what you are saying, that they go to, Mommy, Daddy, Make America great again. Eat the rich. Power to the people. It doesn't matter, but it's simple to repeat. If I were to put it in a recent incident that's occurred, what is it? Deny, defend, depose, whatever is going on with our healthcare system. I mean, it's obviously not within the general public's interest to have our health insurance structured the way that it does. So, if you want to create propaganda and change, you need to get people to be able to understand you and back you. But what is next? You've created your catchphrase, you've created your manifesto. The human condition is an interesting one where, in order to survive, you look at risks. You look at things, objects, people, nature that do not benefit you. Do they actively hurt you? Well, that depends on the narrative. But here we are, we're creating the narrative. This is what we are going to tell people. This is what you can tell people. Establishing the enemy. You have science. You want to blame the scientists? Go for it. Medicine. You want to blame the medical practitioners? Do it. The law or judicial systems. So if your enemy are lawyers, the police, judges, or people who uphold modern day law, you are able to do that. Political representatives, immigrants, the climate or the environment, financial institutions, corporations, historians, and storytellers. If you want to change history, that's a more difficult enemy to establish, by the way, but it's always possible. Technology itself, celebrities, or false deities. So if you guys want to cancel somebody, this is also an option. Culture, the way that people behave, you can criticize the way that people behave in their entirety. And as of recently, AI. This is an interesting one that I will have to be talking about another day. Now, when it comes to claiming an identity, again, we are doing propaganda. You can change the narrative over time, but your starting base has to be focused. With propaganda, you can also apply this to business and marketing. That is both fortunate and unfortunate with the world that we are currently living in. I may be wrong. However, I am just a messenger, and I will always be open to discuss interpretation of the situation. Let's say you've reached the point to claim the identity. You've established who's your enemy. You've created a catchphrase and manifesto that is going to, make it easy to repeat to others. And you are repeating that to your target audience according to their country, demographic, or education/intelligence level. If you're able to do more than one of those things, that's pretty smart. You'll probably be more effective. Your campaign should align with a group or figure that is in cohesion with one of these. If you figure out something else that seems to work outside of what we've experienced thus far, hey, you may be onto something. But currently speaking, you should probably fall in line with the elite. So those of nobility, uh, prosperity, and power. Blue collar workers, white collar workers, students. I always, this is going to be funny when I talk about something here. Scientists, tech companies. Yes, you can blame children. And quite honestly, I don't know why that's missing. You also are able to blame the elderly. Oh, those boomers. Ah, bastards. Right? That kind of thing. Or the children. These kids these days, they don't know a good days of hard work. You can blame kittens or dogs. That's just when it comes down to the most popular pets. If you find a way to blame tigers or like some sort of arbitrary animal that people can have as a pet, that's wild, but you can do that. You just got to get more aggressive. The Illuminati. So when I say the Illuminati, I mean from what people in their general language right now will make their own assumptions of what the Illuminati is. I think it's a nothing term, but it is easy to blame something or to claim something that does not exist. Imagine if you told somebody you were part of the Illuminati, there's a chance they would want to join you, even though they don't know what's going on and they don't even know whether to believe you or not. They just feel like there's this arbitrary organization that you can be a part of. If you are a celebrity, this one's kind of you know solidarity amongst celebrities, or you are pro AI. This is an interesting position to take. If you say like humanity's doomed, let's go to AI as quickly as possible, no matter the consequence, because we've already messed up. Now, to blame somebody. This is an interesting take from who's your enemy because they can be the same thing. Just because you blame somebody doesn't mean they're your enemy. You can also look at this as enablers. So if scientists are enabling scientists, that's fine. You can do that. If doctors are enabling scientists and your manifesto or your mission or your propaganda, your marketing goes against one of the two, they can feed into the two. I trust you understand. Science. So if a scientist decides to create something or figure something out with some sort of research that is completely against your interests and facilitating or strengthening your enemy, blame them. You can blame the doctors, you can blame the medicine. It starts to sound eerie when you look at the world around us, right? You can blame the law or judicial system. You can blame political representatives. You can blame immigrants. You can blame the climate slash environment. You can blame financial institutions. You can blame corporations. You can blame historians and storytellers. You can blame technology. You can blame celebrities and false deities. You can blame culture. You can blame foreigners. So the difference between an immigrant and a foreigner is somebody who, is not supposed to be there, but they seem to be impacting an area or a community without any sort of permission to do so. They just showed up and they started doing things. That's when it's just kind of like a foreigner. You have no idea. You just know you can't even understand why they're there. And once more, you can blame AI. What's interesting about understanding your target audience, your catchphrase, your manifesto, the enemy, claiming in an identity, and knowing who slash what to blame that is enabling your enemy creates the foundation of propaganda. The way that you think about things, the way that you go about reality, and others who get your message and feel some sort of connection with it, it's going to affect them too. In fact, who knows? Maybe you make a bigger splash in the pool than you anticipate that affects others who are in the same pool. At least you know how it works. Finally, before I go into the growth tactics and how to adapt to a changing environment, because if you are going into any situation, whether it be a business, whether it be a cult, whether it be a country, whether it be some sort of marketing, propaganda, distribution of information to influence how a group of people think and see reality, you need to internally have some sort of motivation. Because if you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing, ah, you are lost. You are completely lost. And somebody else can actually influence the motivation and completely change the narrative. You have to stick to your guns. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you spreading what you're spreading? How can this be fixed? Why should this break? That is how we get our Weimar moment, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not familiar with Weimar, that is a. I encourage you look into German history. I'm not going to dive into it. Your desire or motivation should actually highlight and be the driving force. You do not necessarily have to have it in the forefront of your intentions, but 9 times out of 10, it falls into one of these categories. If there seems to be more, I would love to know. We would love to know because the box only holds as much information as people are willing to give it. The first thing is revenge, the enemy. It could be fabricated, it could be a delusion, it could be real. You want to get back at them. They messed you up. This is also why even our language over time within US politics, the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans get back at each other. Nothing happens. It's just perpetually what, a game of revenge, or like, you did this to me, you did not let me legislate this, I won't let you legislate it. I don't care about the ideas, I just don't like you because you prevented me from what I'm doing. And then the cycle repeats. Fame and recognition, this is where you can actually still go into politics as well as run a cult as well, if you simply want to get more attention. This is like a formula to acquire attention. Period. And some people will simply look at the goal of attention and fame as the goal. It just gets weird once you already acquire this. What happens next? That's really up to whomever has consumed the propaganda and is part of whatever, whether it be your organization, your business, your cult, your country, your citizens, your family. It doesn't matter. As long if you do accomplish this, you are going to have to figure some other stuff out. Chaos. So, some people want to let the world burn for its own sake. And there is a saying that I did hear once upon a time. A child that feels abandoned by their village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Now imagine you have a bunch of orphans that decide to create propaganda to destroy a society that has left them behind. That's also where criminality does come from, by the way, and gangs, etc. That's just a little bit of a spoiler for you. Political gain. So you want to influence society, how they behave. That is a near infinite. This is a complex one. This is a complex one. I will be diving into some of these tools and I want to be able to grow box and also teach people exactly how the sausage is made from what I understand it to be made of. To provide that information cuz just because I'm able to create another media platform, create a community, facilitate that community, it can be put in different contexts of life. And education and knowledge will always be the most powerful thing each of us can have. And that's all I got to say about political gain. Financial gain, you can become, I don't know, as wealthy as you want to be if you know how to do it right. If you have the correct enemy and you know who to blame, it is actually quite easy to get your cause financed. Pure nihilism. So that is not chaos. Nihilism is where you are doing it just cuz. There's no rationality there and you are just going. You're just doing it and you may even take input from other people who may throw money your way, who may throw community your way, resources, etc. And you are just off of the whims of the ocean, off of the wind upon your sails. Where is your ship going to go? Doesn't matter. This is where you actually lead to spreading misinformation out of boredom, or just straight up disillusionment, where your justification for what your or motivation and desire is just cause, and it doesn't go further from there. Nihilism is empty. I mean, there are we kind of have a nihilistic culture within Western society, in my own opinion, but that's a conversation for another time as well. Assign blame. Let me. Are there any questions so far? Because this is pretty deep stuff. When it comes down to 2025, it's crazy. It's crazy the point that we're at, and I am simply only one of the people who's willing to say something out loud. But I don't want you to not have a map on how to navigate it. And quite honestly, be have an easier time to recognize it when it's happening to you or when you see it happen. Propaganda marketing to the upteenth degree, where you start to see people behave in such a way according to the growth tactics and the methods that different parties utilize in order to fulfill their desire. A little bit of a break here. Oof. Give me about a minute here. Looks like somebody's knocking on my door. It's not the CIA or FBI or anything, so it's okay. That was a bad joke. All right, break's over. Yes, this is recorded, Johnny. there, there's going to be a lot here. And as I actually go into these growth tactics and how to adapt in the environment, this is going to be throughout 2025. And with Box, we also do have another show that we will be trying to bring on a regular basis. And hopefully, we will officially be in beta sometime next week. I will be sharing this link on one of our videos. You can either check out Internet Kai on YouTube or Twitch, and I will be posting it on Box. I'm not going to pin it on box because I haven't created that functionality yet. And I am looking for a developer that is going to be able to help accelerate our mission and goals here. All right. When it comes down to the growth tactics and adaptability tactics for propaganda and marketing, these are the tools and strategies that have been utilized, exercised, and honed in on from multiple entities, people, and organizations all across the planet. It does not matter how much wealth you have, it does not matter your class, your race, your gender. It doesn't. If you know how to utilize these tools and you have created that foundation for your marketing campaign or propaganda, you just gotta get creative with how you use these. First thing, we're going to be going through growth tactics. Social media manipulation. Now, you want to be able to use social media and leverage platforms to accelerate your message spreading. There are additional tools that you can use to know what words are ranking, what is trending, and potentially ride on the coattails. Is that the correct term? Coattails of other people who are doing the same thing. This is also how memes work or trends work. That's why they are. When people see something succeeding, it's so easy to attach yourself to it. Think of TikTok. Why do people pick up a specific dance move or a specific narrative or a specific message and just repeat it to another person? And then all of a sudden you have a trend like, oh, what? They're eating the cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio? Yes. Bot networks. If you are technical or you have access to somebody who is technical that does have access to software, has created software, knows somebody, or you are that somebody that can automate a specific narrative or type of behavior to spread a message amongst multiple accounts, utilize a VPN to come from different locations, use different IP addresses to overload your message or to back you on a message as if they're real people. Bot networks are not, it's easy to tell when it's a bot, but unfortunately, uh, they do end up towards pushing towards social media manipulation because of how algorithms work. You can have the perception that there's a huge following behind you, even if it's a bunch of bots. Scary, isn't it? That is also known as dead internet theory. That goes into that, where most of your internet reactions are the result of a bot somewhere. And there are more bots on the internet than actual people. me take this over here because somebody's asking me a question. Crisis events. Okay, I will get extreme if you consider this extreme. Did you know that for every child that dies in Palestine, you will get $1 if you invest in Boeing? So I do encourage that you invest in Boeing if you are comfortable with the death of children. That is a very extreme sentence that I just whipped out. Is it true? Is it false? No, I'm just whipping out propaganda. What you want to qualify it as doesn't matter. What I'm doing, I'm using a disaster or a scandal for credibility. If I were to do a scandal, I will tell you this, that it is it's kind of cheesy. Whether this is true or not is for you to interpret, by the way. I think it's kind of cheesy that Elon Musk slid $45 million to Trump post election to back his position. Does that sound believable? I'm just taking advantage of a crisis to validate my position. Those two don't have nothing to do with what I'm proposing, but there are people who are going to be locked into that narrative, and it's easier to influence them. Hence the growth tactic. Celebrity endorsement. I do propose that we utilize Logan Paul or Kai Cenat to sell energy drinks regardless of what they're made out of, because we want more children to purchase our product. As long as they have the audience, we need them as an influential figure to endorse our narrative, to endorse our position. This strategy does usually cost money. Whenever people are in a position of power and influence, their audience and who they can influence is not for free unless I'll get I'll go down to it below, unless they are aligned with you. Alternative news outlets. So, whenever it comes down to distributing information through fringe media, think of InfoWars. Technically, Box Media right now qualifies as fringe media. If you seek out those platforms, not all of them, but some of them can start to distribute information to fringe audiences. Am I doing this right now with Box? No. Am I susceptible to doing it? Are we susceptible to doing that? I mean, we're susceptible, but all groups and people are susceptible to different narratives around them. That's what it means to be human. Navigate the waters as you shall. The echo chamber effect. So, strengthening the beliefs in like-minded communities. If you understand how to use keywords once more, other platforms have keywords. So let's say that we decide to use a keyword. We're going to do a very, very basic exercise. I'm going to treat you like you're in elementary school. So if you get lost, that's your problem. Let's try to influence. I want it to be innocent or come across as innocent. Ice cream has too much sugar. Ironic, right? Ice cream. Community. I will. We believe that you deserve pure happiness. Step into our world of brain freeze, inducing delight. Is this a. This is crazy. Hey, this is my first time on this website, by the way. Inducing delight. Once you experience our ice cream, there's no turning back. Yo, guys, I'm actually. This is actually kind of scary. The way the way that they said that, that's wild. Now, if I do this correctly, I'm going to step outside of my head here. Let us do. This is not an advertisement for Uber. Suggest. You've been signed out. Let me log that back in. If I remember. I'm about to look up what people, what words are people using to even end up on that site outside of what I've used. Icecreamcommunity.com. I am in the United States. I will be kind of giving you some data here. We are going to skip this. We're going to skip that. Do you want my team to grow your traffic? I am not interested in any advertisements. Ice cream, ICC card, backlinks. The full report is ready. This is not my site. You have no idea when it comes down to your websites, guys. If somebody is looking at you and they qualify you as a potential competitor or a potential partner or whatever their motivation is. We've talked about motivation. If they have the knowledge of the different tools that you can use, this is the kind of stuff that they may do or get somebody else who believes in their motivation and believes in their foundation for propaganda and marketing and their purpose to do as well. Organic keywords. And I can already see what other sites are linked to them. So people do look up loyalty card, their products, and even right here, they may have a community on Facebook. And then I may be able to target them, but they have no idea. They have no idea. I can start whipping out propaganda on their own page. Strengthen the beliefs of like minded communities. Hey, you guys think this? We got you. This is how you start to kind of siphon potential competitors or allies to further enhance that echo chamber effect. Internet memes. Create shareable or humorous content. Believe it or not, I hate humor. Kind of crazy, right? I'm trying not to smile as they say that. I've never laughed in my life. Okay, I can remember a time that I did laugh. I think it had to do with a chicken or the egg situation. Like, why did the chicken cross the road? That's an excellent question. If you're a farmer and you use a meme like that or whatever and you want to sell something, that may work, okay? I don't think it's funny. I think it's in bad I think I think I think it's a lame joke. Conspiracy theories. Can we talk about aliens? Technically, I don't even know why it wasn't I thought I had this earlier before because you can technically blame aliens or make them your enemy as well. I didn't list them because I do not think that is healthy information to give people. That they can blame that they can blame aliens to accelerate or progress whatever agenda they have. Do you believe in aliens? Nah, this is actually a serious question now. Because the other day I saw a few lights in the sky. And personally, I didn't know what was going on. I went to sleep and then I woke up and the lights were still there and I was investigating it. I tried to grab my camera, my binoculars. That was not an airplane. Have you guys ever experienced that? Because my uncle, actually, once upon a time, had told me he was farming one of these days, by the way, and he saw some stuff in the sky. He told me it was aliens. I didn't believe it. I didn't know what to think about it, but I guess it's difficult to explain when you see it for yourself. I wish I could have recorded it, but there is something up. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who saw that. Yeah, you guys get the point. Influencer infiltration. So, this is when you are able to get somebody with an audience and they also have relationships with other people who are or other creators or other influencers who are similar to the audience and maybe you're an influencer yourself or they believe in you so much that they joined you on the team and they're willing to promote your message amongst a community of influencers. This is a crazy situation because there are Telegram groups, there are messaging groups, there are Facebook groups, Twitter groups where it is just creators focus on a specific niche or goal, and each of them have their own audiences, but they can communicate with one another in order to have a have a larger effect with the narrative that they're spreading, whether it's true or not. Again, this is all agnostic information, purely academic, purely informational. Hyper local coverage. If you have the ability, 9 times out of 10, this does require capital. If you are able to focus on a specific community, let's say Springfield, Ohio, and you are upset that they're eating the cats and the dogs, and you deploy a group of people who are part of your propaganda or narrative, whether you want to sell something, influence something, or change something, you can do something about that. You may even get an influencer or creator to, you should go do a documentary here to investigate this. Is it true or false? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's all we want to do. We want to focus on a specific area because what essentially happens with the people who are experiencing in front of their face, you radicalize them in a different way. It's wild. It's one thing to hear about information or propaganda about stuff that's happening outside of your neighborhood, or as we like to say, the NIMBYs, not in my backyard. But if it's in your backyard, your sense of reality is completely different. Is it true? Is it false? Mm, I don't know what to tell you on that one. Does it matter if it's true or false? You're the one experiencing it, and you will react accordingly. It's kind of crazy how this can go, right? Like, if I was an honest marketing professor, which may be an ironic statement, if I was an honest marketing professor, I would be telling you all about this. But 9 times out of 10, when it comes down to how people teach marketing, it is theoretical or it doesn't want to go deeply into how to the tools available to you because with what I'm showing you so far, you can see how it's affected you. You can see how it's affected somebody that you may love, your friends, your family, how they see reality. Never forget once upon a time, and you can still do it today. There was an infomercial to buy a pet rock live on television. Their whole thing was like, can you imagine like telling your friends just for a joke? They were using a what was it? Using humor, memes that can technically qualify as a meme where it's like I bought a pet rock. I could sharing that online and the ridiculousness of it just encourages other people to want to partake on the joke. Because if you don't get the joke, you're on the outside. Clickbait headlines. Okay. Now, when it comes down to clickbait, I'll show you guys some examples. I'm gonna be a bit vulnerable over here. I guess I can show you a little bit of my algorithm. Not all my choice, okay? We are going to be going to trending. Understand how these titles make you feel, and they will be using human faces or emotion to try to invoke a reaction. The royalty family. I don't even know these guys. So I'm on the trending tab on YouTube. A terrifying night we'll never forget. Huh. I could probably get a five. Yeah, that's for children, obviously. A lot of these end up being for children, but the thing is, when you see something has a lot of views, it does end up onto the feed, and there's like this weird lizard brain with something that is begging for your attention. We asked Cade to be godparents. I made the spiciest sandwich ever. I don't believe you. Or if you already have some influence, so this is a popular group. Aviation expert shocked by South Korean plane crash. Models calling for historic blizzard. Coldest air in my lifetime. When something is begging or is using an emotional word towards an action where you are so curious to be able to understand them, because people are naturally empathetic, they want to be able to understand what is going through your mind to make you feel this. Words themselves have a tendency to invoke that feeling. It's crazy. Do I take advantage of that myself for content that I create to the best of my ability? Yes. I encourage you do so as well, because that's the meme. That's what we do, right? Unless you want to try to reinvent the wheel. Again, I'm simply here to provide the information. Visual disinformation. This is where AI kind of gets crazy. Incorporate doctored visuals for credibility. I will be posting something on Twitter just to make a point of it, but this will be fake news and I will be removing it. Let's see. We're not going to be using the box account, by the way. It's just going to be off of my personal. Okay. If we understand where we're at right now, let us think what is our purpose here. Um, we are going to try to target. Uh, this is an interesting one. Let's see what's trending before I target somebody or a demographic. My bad. Explore. It's still structured towards my algorithm. I don't want to hurt myself with this one, too, by the way. Like, I don't want to say something so absurd that it's just not good for anybody. Oh my God, look at all this. Ah, Twitter/X. Incredible place to be. Um, Kobe Bryant's dead. Hold on. I'm not into basketball. Tesla has released a Cybertruck key card for $60. I think this is a lie, but let me feed off of that. That's kind of wild, right? And if it is true, I'm just again, I will be removing this. So let's use AI. Create a visual card that enables you to get inside. Create a card. Create a visual for a card. Create a visual for a card that enables you to get inside a vehicle. And I will simply say this. Let's see. Let's see what they create. It's interesting. It's kind of crazy, right? When I saw that, I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. But let's do this. We are going to use it's obscure enough, but believable enough that no one understands what's going on unless you think about it. Let me copy this image. Let me paste it. Now, we're not gonna, okay. Apparently, see, now I'm trolling, right? This is, I will be removing this, but I'm trying to provide a real life example. Whenever you do something like this and with the tools available around you, understand exactly what is your intention. Me, I'm doing this for academic purposes, okay? Do not do this, and it's a very there's a very high likelihood you won't be seeing this in the next 24 hours. Apparently, at Tesla, is it 1P? At Tesla is making cards key card access only. It's saying that I don't need to use that word. So at Tesla is making cards key card access only. Unfortunately, let me think of a card manufacturer. Card manufacturer for key card access. Yes, I am spreading disinformation. Well, this is just straight up fake news. Uh, at a, they're paying for it. They can afford this for the moment. A a vigil, a vigilant made a mistake with their beta that may allow hackers. We're trying to keep this at an eighth grade level. Not everybody can read well, so hackers to get in easily to newer Tesla models. that they they are trying to fix with a question mark. Innocent thoughts? No, it has to be a question mark. It has to be innocent enough. Yep, that sounds good to me. Let's create a post. Draft, save it. Yeah, AI can probably test this one out. I'm just going for it. Don't do this at home, kids. Again, I will be deleting this. Add a description. Not necessary. Obviously made by Grok, but some people may interpret it as a real thing. That was a very long example of visual disinformation, by the way. Apologies. It took longer than I thought it would be. SEO optimization, push content higher in search ranks. I've already provided the tool for that. Astroturfing, simulate grassroots support. So this can also go into bot networks and influencing people who do not have as much influence. That takes a lot of time. And if you are able to run the right advertisement or marketing campaign with people who seem to have a smaller realm of influence, or you target hyper niche groups on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and you consistently talk to them. And whatever narrative that they have, they feel like they may be able to join you, and you get multiple groups just like that, replicate that, replicate that, replicate that. That's essentially a grassroots support. People who are coming in from the bottom or from a smaller circle, they're in more isolated areas, that they feel a stronger connection, not only with whatever community they're part of, but to convince that all of those communities share the same goal. You will be able to create an effect that does accelerate over time, because then they look bigger than they actually are. The most extreme example is neo Nazis, as well as furries, as well as people who seem to care about transgenders in sports. That's the definition of astroturfing. Most people really don't care, but there is a collective of groups that do care and have those ideologies that can band together to make it look like they're bigger than they actually are in the grander scheme of things. So that's what astroturfing essentially is. The Trojans did it with their horse, right? Make the horse look big. It's just a gift. It's only so many of them, but if you infiltrate the base and you get everybody's attention, even if it's just 5 people, they just happen to have some sort of reach that reaches the general public's awareness and infiltrates our language and lexicon on how we even define things. Finally, adaptability tactics. This stuff, I'm going to tell you, I am going to briefly go through this. I will not be providing examples because they essentially speak for themselves. This is how you adapt. Understanding that your growth tactics and the tools available around you is they are what they are. The way that you adapt is essentially taking human psychology and societal behavior as well as contradictions within our systems and exploiting them. So, foreign language use. You're distributing content, your propaganda, make sure that it's in more than one language if you want to be able to adapt and reach a larger audience. That speaks for itself, no pun intended. Cultural adaptation, customized for regional beliefs. If a group over here thinks that the sky is blue and a group over here thinks that the sky is red, you got to try to figure out how do you make sure that your propaganda and your marketing shows up in front of their face to either validate or teach them to have some sort of narrative amongst each other that they can agree on. Regardless if the sky is blue or if the sky is red, can we agree that sometimes it's cloudy? It's stuff like that. It's so simplistic where you completely deter. You are adapting to a shared understanding and adapting to the culture because, it can be very difficult to re educate larger audiences the further and the larger they become. Cross platform presence. So, for example, with Box, we do show up on YouTube, Twitch, and our own platform, Box. And eventually, once we have the right mechanisms in place, we may create a partnership with the right radio, other online platforms, maybe, just maybe, there's a segment on TV somewhere. Who knows? That's usually how you also want to run business. That's usually how you want to change anything. You got to show up more than one place. If a person shows up on your phone, an entity, a product, a politician, a narrative, and then it also shows up on your computer, and then it also shows up on your TV, and then you also hear it on the radio just by accident. You don't even listen to the radio these days, do you? You see it on another online platform. It looks like it's a big thing, right? There is also a way to advertise to make sure that you do show up on other platforms according to the audience, so you track them and follow them. Fact resistance. So, unfortunately, we do live in a post truth world because whether you like it or not, I can tell you Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, decided to defund the police in order to save money to give a raise to their government. I am lying, by the way. I am lying when I say that. There will be people who will figure out and actively deny this fact. Now, the job to adapt to that tactic, if you are deciding to go towards something that is completely false, is that you find the right data to justify the position. Bonus points if it is data they created and it was your interpretation of said data that can plausibly, that people have the ability to like rationalize and believe, like, oh yeah, that makes sense to believe. And therefore, somebody fact checking that is at a position that they can't even figure it out for themselves without putting in even more resources to prove it. Memory hacking, so you can think of the Mandela effect, providing or changing what happened in the past, especially if other people or the majority of your audience wasn't there, and the way that you recall it is new information, or if they were there, you can make subtle changes to that narrative that can confuse them, that is difficult to prove or disprove. That's memory hacking. Parody immunity, that's using humor. Because it's very difficult to deal with people who are spreading misinformation and use a guise of humor. There, but there's a little bit about this on the last point. A parody, you can use satire to solidify the truth. And on the opposite end, you can also do the opposite, and I'll go into that. Offline spread. You need to have your pamphlets. You need to just find unique ways to deploy somebody to be willing to do stuff word of mouth. And I do understand in Pennsylvania, there was a specific campaign for people to get other people to vote, and they would receive a reward. I don't know who it was, by the way. That's what I heard. Government infiltration, manipulate official narratives. If you can get somebody in the position of some sort of political position to say something, and is within their interest to justify that cause perpetually, you know how that goes. If you're a lobbyist, you are probably sitting very pretty right now. Just a heads up. Algorithm manipulation. So you prioritize content via algorithmic exploitation. Yeah, just follow the keywords, use your memes. You can shoehorn it into your narrative, whether it's true or false. You are adapting to what people are saying, even if it's real, whether or not it's related to your position of your cause, propaganda, or marketing campaign. Just find a way to manipulate the trends of the algorithm and you'll be okay. Historical revisionism. This is kind of like attacking historians and storytellers. And by the way, if you did not know, Alexander the Great died at the age of 13 years old. He was not that great. It was just a bunch of people listening to the child of a demagogue. Look it up. That's what I read. It's that kind of thing. economic integration. So this is where pump and dump schemes, you can, if you have enough influence, you can manipulate certain things to validate opinion and to justify from an economic standpoint why something is. Because whenever it is winter, McDonald's does make less money because less people do go out and buy their burgers. However, during the hot summer, people then have a tendency to buy their burgers. And I would recommend, if you do understand this, you should purchase McDonald's stock around July July 11th to July 16th. And you should be able to receive a profit and make sure you sell McDonald's stock if you want to realize those profits before the end of the following fall. Because, when winter comes in, people don't really eat at McDonald's. That is an example of economic integration. Psychological anchoring. Embed in a familiar or emotional context. This is where nostalgia starts to come in. And if we think of Rugrats, I remember when Tommy or Angelica were doing their thing and then Chucky got mad. And it makes me think of what's happening today. Why are these kids just getting mad about who gets to be on top of the playground? In my opinion, I don't think I'm a Rugrat. Are you a Rugrat? Have we learned nothing? Vivek Ramaswamy did the same thing when he said, "We have too much of like Saved by the." I don't even remember the names of the characters, like Saved by the Bell. Like those cultural references in order to get that psychological anchoring to make people feel some type of ways. Like, oh yeah, I remember that show. No more friends. Yeah, we should have less sleepovers. That it's kind of crazy. I was like, oh, so that's what you're doing? You want to use psychological anchoring on a mass audience? Unfortunately, America structurally is not the brightest when it comes to handling propaganda and things of that nature. Local government disruption. So you want to be able to undermine the trust in local authorities. That's why we should defund the police. Crazy that I just said that, right? Do I believe that? No. Do I not believe that? No. I think that people are missing the forest for the trees on that one. To feel that your local government can be influenced by you and your propaganda, and other people who believe that feels like, yeah, I can actually change what's going on outside from a government position and I can acquire more power, then local authorities will be weaker in the long run. Or you can lead to an environment where less people trust their local authorities. And then finally, the satirical mask. You want to know what's funny? Disguise fake news as satire to evade criticism. If you believe, if you truly believe anything that I just said during this broadcast, I will tell you it was all just a joke. What's the punchline? You believed me. And I think that's hilarious. Is this fake news? I mean, if you think it's fake news, what I'm trying to tell you is that this is all just a joke. This was all of the satirical nature, and you can't copyright strike me. You can't do anything. I did everything in fair use, and I am just having a good time. If you didn't get the joke, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If that sounds familiar or that kind of like narrative sounds familiar, people saying like it was just a joke, bro. Well, then you just have to figure out how many people are laughing. I'm not even laughing, but I do find it hilarious. This was all just a joke. Nah, I am being real. Over time, as we progress the next steps of box, these are a few of the things that we do need to understand, ranging from other, even in the cryptocurrency space, how people use propaganda to push a specific agenda, in the financial space, in politics, in your neighborhood, in media. Unfortunately, the US is very much having a moment to deal with propaganda again, like it's the Cold War. Except we're really trying to push a narrative that is not necessarily collectively within our best interest. And then some people do create propaganda in order to accomplish a goal as a means to an end. You could also call it a marketing campaign. I remember when Nestle was making advertisements about like how their water supply was helping people in Africa and they found like some sort of mountain, things of that nature. It was obviously a lie, but it made everybody feel good. And they were able to raise their stock price. You got to really understand what's going on around us. This is the guide of exactly how to do it. There are different steps that may be outside of my knowledge, but once again, this comes from Full Fact UK, PolitiFact USA, and Democreations, Flag Inc., a simulation game that lets you do it yourself. Ah, and that's my gift to you. That's Box's gift to you. I am happy that you were able to join. All of this is recorded. I will be taking a few different clips of this and trying to make a point of a few different things. Some of the strategies right there you may be able to notice. And if you have another thing that you would like our help with on the box side, let us know. If you do not know what Box is a media platform. Here it is right here. Let me refresh this. A media platform that essentially enables you to consume content and you do receive Box as an incentive. It is specifically built on XRP. If you're not familiar with XRP, that's okay. All you got to know is that every time that you do experience some sort of advertisement or you decide to engage with our platform and you provide value, you'll receive Box. Discuss geopolitics, discuss different currencies, discuss the world around you and exactly how things are changing. In our beta phase, we will be making sure that your wallets reflect exactly what's in your account and start to push towards the incentive structure that we want to reward you with. And as they say, early bird gets the worm. And with that, I'm happy you could take a look into the box with me. Oh, an interesting one, huh? I hope you have a good night. You have a good evening. If you have any questions, feel free to message me via box, Twitter/X, Twitch, YouTube, whatever makes sense for you. This new year is going to be a fun ride. And personally, I will be excited for our next steps. And if you know what's going on with XRP and cryptos, as well as like the current administration, stay tuned, pay attention, connect with communities like this one as well. Because knowledge is power. Have a good night, guys.